announcement. Unmute yourself when you start streaming. Just keep that in mind. That's really important. So unless you're planning on doing like sign language, like then you better just unmute yourself. So anyway, hopefully chat is happy because we now have some unmuted. Yep, okay, looking good. Hello, good to see all you fashionable people here. We got the Nightshade Dude, the Om Nom Nom. We've got Foffy, and who's in the house? All right. We had a hell of a night last night. That led to a hell of a day today, let me tell you. But yeah, I think I've shaken off most of that. I think we are definitely drinking water tonight, so there's no question about that. This is absolutely not vodka. And we are going to do some NES coding. So that sounds really awesome. That sounds very like nom-malicious that you're having some sourdough. Why did you tell me that? That's awesome. I want some sourdough. Can you send sourdough over here? Can you tip some sourdough to your streamer? Damn, that sounds good. All right. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked. We have all sorts of fun stuff to do. So I'm gonna just kind of dig in here, and we have some other yeah, send some. I always bake a gift loaf. Nice. That's good. So as some of you know, the new site is up, so it's definitely being debugged. There's lots of little nits that got to get sorted out, but feel free to check it out. I'm gonna get this series, the Bitboi series of like coding up Bitboi for the NES onto here as well. So that's anyway. In the meantime, I'm going to get into the coding zone. So we're gonna get into our Bitboi directory here, and I did a little tiny quick refactor, like just tiny, just a little bit off camera, because I just didn't want to spend the whole time just messing around trying to figure out like we did a lot of math last time, and after last night and the scotch, I don't know, just frankly I don't know if I'm up to the math tonight. So we're gonna see where we get with that. You're going to talk about sourdough, then you got to start talking about starters. That's Nightshade Dude is spot on West Coast style right there. So hopefully we have, I have done nothing, just for reference, with the Minecraft server for programming, for coding. That might be a fun thing to do, though. I think that might be a cool like little hangout. So maybe we should do that. Especially, it seems like a couple people are interested that are not entirely just talking about regular expressions. And if I see anybody coding up a regular expression in there, we're just, oh man. So is there an RSS feed for your site? Yes, I believe there is. This site is built by Hugo. I'm using the Hugo. Oh man, they're always telling you something. This is built by the Hugo generator, static site generator. So I'm pretty sure there's a I want to say like an RSS Atom something or other. I know, you know what? Actually, I take it back. There is definitely one, because I saw a XML file get deployed of some sort. So I don't know where it is, but I feel like it's definitely in there. So yeah, that was one of the problems I had with some of my previous sites. It's like, it's such a pain to like set up like static article updates, and like, so one of the nice things about Hugo is it just sort of happens. So I can take a quick peek though while we're on the topic. Let's see. It's in where is that? That is, oh yeah, this is the CSG website, and if we look in here, I think there's it was sitemap.xml, but there is an index.xml, and I feel like, yep, that's Atom compliant. So this looks like you have your feed reader will just pick the, okay, look at that. It's got the latest articles. It's reverse sorted. Hugo has some really nice out-of-the-box features. So all of that is in there, so you don't have to keep checking the website. And I'm not opposed to news readers the way Google suddenly got after they got everybody. All right, that's a hot take. I'm gonna knock it on Google Reader and what happened over there. So yeah, no regex for me. Thank you. I appreciate that. Why do I don't want to know what's going to happen in the Minecraft server when we get to that. But that was actually, I don't know if Jane's around tonight, but she, her and I and a couple other coding people, we used to just kind of unwind in survival mode, like building up some sort of crazy structure. And that might be fun, especially considering some of the advances people made with gates and redstone and ALUs and everything else and bit adders. That might be interesting to kind of explore how far you can go with all that stuff and still stay in relatively stock version of the game. I mean, if you hack it, then obviously it's easy, but that seems like cheating. So anyway, let's get into some code. Let's see if Messin wants to work with us. So we can make things and we can run things. Yeah, okay, we're getting our emulator up. So real quick, while a little bit later, I added collision detection. So we did write collision detection on stream, and that worked pretty well. And keep in mind, this counter that we have up here in the corner, this corresponds to our Y coordinate for the top left of our set of sprites. So we have 6 sprites here in this character, and the top is somewhere down here, which is at scan line 240. And if I press down, that's up. If I sort of down a little bit, you can kind of see this is corresponding. The top left is still off the screen. And we're getting some graphical stuff. I'm not really too worried about that because the character's never really going to be up there. And this is what I added. I added a collision detect going down. So I'm pressing down and we're not getting anywhere. And so we can come up and we can go left and right. We have right working on the stream. We can go left. That's fine. There's no objects there. And now we have left where it actually hits something. And the problem I've got with all this is that it appears to be, and I'm not doing collision detection with the mobs, but it appears to be off by 1. Because this sort of situation, first of all, oh yeah, this is colliding because on the other side of the screen there's actually a block. But yeah, so this is a little wonky. I don't want to quite get into adding the physics just yet because we need to figure out what's wrong. Because when I go and drop onto something, oh, now that's kind of weird because when I drop onto this tile, it works. But when I was checking it before, and there's going to be no way for me to get back in there now that there's collision detection. Up has no collision detection because I figured you could jump up through things. So when I come down, you'll notice that it's actually kind of stuck. Now, this Y is telling us that we're perfectly aligned with the top of the screen, and we're hitting the bottom and we seem to be colliding. It looks like it's kind of a pixel off, but we can't move left and right. So I think that's kind of the place where we're going to start and try to figure out sort of what's going on there. And I think the way I wanted to go about that was, now that we have 3 collision detectors, because there's one detecting left, there's one on this bottom left sprite, there's one detecting right on this bottom right sprite, and then there's one sort of down here that's detecting this bottom collision. And I just sort of offset it a little bit in here because you can't actually use 2 sprites when I'm looking things up. So let's see which of these is firing and get some sort of visual feedback, because I don't want to spend time I don't want to spend as much time looking at the debug memory feedback as we did last time. That's a little bit rough. And by the way, for those of you who were here last night, thank you everybody for showing up. It was super fun, and yeah, had a bit much scotch with all the excitement. But we have a lot more subs and follows today, so life's interesting. All right, so yeah, just looking at this, I did a few like just quick cosmetics. I didn't spend much time refactoring. I didn't align all of the colliders, so there's actually 3 separate colliders. This is like the collide right, and they're pretty much the same code, collide left and collide bottom. I wanted to take them apart one at a time because if I'm going to unify these, I really need to understand, like, we need to get at least one bug-free version of this. and it seems like we're not quite right. And I didn't want to go making a real mess by trying to handle all 3 cases at once. So I just intentionally kept them separate for now, but they're basically the same thing with like a little bit of an offset change on, like, you know, which tile we're using for the collision. All right, so we come down here, and then that simplifies this code. I pulled most of the variables out. I just dumped them quick into a globals file so that they're not scattered all over. Keep in mind on the NES, like, you don't have much RAM. So reusing like counters is common. Reusing like all sorts of stuff, like trying to avoid stack operations is good because hardware stack is like semi non-existent on the NES implementation with the 6502. So on a scale of 0 to Hasselhoff laying on the floor eating hamburgers, how hungover were you? The fact that I think I'm still dealing with it now, I think is pretty indicative because it's been like kind of a full day, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll go refactor all that stuff before the stream tomorrow, and I was like struggling trying to get this. That's part of my real reason for going for the copy pasta. Although I like the reason I gave earlier, which is also true, that it'd be harder to solve this. It's one of those things, like when I know I'm hungover, like I'm going to try to make the programming simpler if I can. So, but Hasselhoff eating hamburgers on the floor is fantastic. But I mean, you know, it was a pretty epic night. I mean, I'm certainly glad I did it. I hope Jessie got through today too, because I mean, yeah, she hit, anyway, the Talisker was getting devoured. So anyway, that's, with all that aside, we're not functioning at 100% tonight. So we're like, I think we're working at like 80% capacity right now. I think that's probably good enough to deal with a little collision detection. But you know, we're just gonna say, wait, was she? Yeah, she was working today. So you should drop her some bits. I mean, or you know, send her some puppy emotes. We got to get that chonk emote set up so that we can drop her that. I mean, but she probably had a hard day is my guess. Her Elon Musk hate is real. Yeah, you know, that's kind of funny that came up because neither one of us particularly likes Elon Musk. Her feeling is stronger, I think, on this topic. But it's she's still, I mean, she's got some pretty interesting points about why, and specifically some of the stuff that he's doing. I mean, it directly affects her. It directly affects anybody interested in astronomy. And she told you why at depth. I mean, she like felt bad that she was like running all this stuff on my stream, and I'm like, no, go ahead. I mean, that speak your mind. But yeah, I'd say she dislikes him a little bit. I mean, you know, she's building emotes now for her new stream. Maybe there's going to be an anti-Musk one in there. I mean, if Musk like originally comes from deer, I want to say Musk scent. So maybe there's like a deer hunter kind of emote that works that we could send to her. Okay. Anyway, let's get coding because we didn't code much after we all went on scotch and rants last night. All right. So right. Let's take. I think the first step here. This is really a lot easier when we've got visual debugging that's integrated. So let's just add another display. I think that's a good spot to start. So I can figure out how hungover I really am. So display score is taking advantage of sprite stuff on the top. We might run ourselves into some trouble with that based on how many sprites are available. But before we give up on it, let's just try it. So I think display, let's just say display indicators, and for now, we'll just assume that those are chilling somewhere in global space so that we don't have to worry about all the stack stuff to pass it in. And we could pass in a bit field and then use the fast call convention. So for those of you not aware, and me being only semi-aware, fast call is a C function. So normally when you call a C function, your parameters typically get put on the stack, and then it pushes the stack pointer and some other stuff so that it knows where to return, and then it goes up there. And then different architectures have different ways of how you unwind the stack when you come back from your function call. The fast call convention kind of makes the function itself something of a no-op. In modern systems, it's not a big deal because stack operations are like really, really quick. And optimizing compilers like GCC or Clang, they will actually just eliminate your function a lot of the time, like especially if it's not necessary. If it can inline it, it'll do clever things for you. But if you do care about it, and I'm pretty sure CC65 does not do a ton of optimization on its own, pretty literal translation of like whatever you write. Fast call basically says that you can use like a couple of registers. There's really only one main A register. You have an X and a Y to pass argument and return. So if it fits there, you don't need to do any stack operations, and that's really nice in terms of like performance. So it makes the function sort of like it's kind of like inlining a macro, but you don't have to write everything as a macro, which is really not fun and easy to make a lot of mistakes. So before we get to like screwing around with optimization, let's start off with just seeing what we can display on the display. So I'm going to try out the OAM hardware. I have a feeling that because we're up towards the top, we probably are right. We can reuse some sprites later. We're going to find out. So let's just say that we want this to happen at 0, 0 and slap this. I think let's just use 2 as a pill. So actually, let's use something random. So we're going to put that over there. We don't need any of this mirroring stuff, so we can just null that out. And we're going to allow it to return the next location of the spread. All right, cool. So let's start with 1, and we're going to build up very gently tonight. So it's like turn off the sunlight. Okay, so we're not getting that is probably off the screen. So let me drop this a bit more. Oh, I also didn't call it, but let's drop this a bit more. I don't know. Let's move it over like 100 and move it down like 16 so that we know that it's in the play field. And let's say that on every cycle. Hey Akshay, how you doing? How's day been? Day's been a little rough. Had a few drinks last night on stream, didn't I? So, yep, I paid for that, and I paid for that. That's all I'm going to say about that. But, we're back, we're compiling, we're working on an NES game. I feel like things are going up from here. And we're all hoping that Jesse's doing all right as well. So let's just do that real quick. Right now we're just trying to get this random character to show up, and it is showing up, and we're okay with the number of sprites that are in the line. So that's looking good. Let's bounce up to a couple of these, ideally 3, because then we wouldn't really have to do much logic. And I don't know, we'll just do this. We'll have a 9, we'll have an A. All right, so let's get that going. And yep, okay, so we got some text drawing stuff. We seem to be all right on that. So I guess let's just position it over, sort of like where the existing display is. Now that might be pushing it for how many sprites we get in the line, but worst case we can always just put it on the next line. So this is showing up on line 0, and we're showing up in location 31 times 8 minus stuff. So let's say minus, well, let's just do 0 first. So 31, 8. Actually, let's put these in regular order. So this will be like 8 minus 8 times 2. This would be like minus 8 times. I'm not worrying about optimization at all. I'm worrying about correctness right now. 8 times 0. So compiler should inline that, so we shouldn't have to worry about it, except we're doing bad things because that threw on 45. Where did I not match something? Here, here. Aha, here. Okay, so we were being super careful with operator precedence, and this is 31, 8, and all that stuff. I'm not worried about the constants because the compiler should take those out. Okay, so we actually put it directly on top, which is kind of funny. That's not quite where we wanted it to be, so let me fix that. First, we're going to slide these over in the sprite table, and we're going to move this back a little bit. So this is really minus, what is this? This is minus 3, so like, let's say 5, 4, 3, I want to say. And yeah, okay, so it's directly next to it. It's a little bit too close for comfort. Let's just move that over one more tile. So we're gonna pop this like 6, 5, and 4. All right, so there's our UI design, all done. Great. Okay, so, and I'm gonna just blank this thing so we don't have to, oh, it's really bright, isn't it? All right, I don't know. I don't have something over here. So NES, always heard great things about it. Unfortunately, never played it. There were a lot of great games. I mean, it's kind of like this. It's like the #1 of all those series that Nintendo has kept producing sequels to. So there was just, year after year, they were just kind of cranking out like, another Super Mario, another Zelda, another, and so a lot of those games really got started there. They're still fun. To be honest, if you really wanted to replay some classic consoles, I would probably start with like an SNES, and you should play Chrono Trigger, which is the greatest video game ever. Just saying, greatest game ever, Chrono Trigger. You might want to take a look at that on the Super Nintendo. It is super awesome. Not a boomer. Dropping the kappa. There you go. Okay, so we have our second display. So let's just quickly crank this up to being some sort of number. We can use the same computation now that we know what we're into. And again, I'm using some stack variables here, but this is just debugging output, so we're not that worried. The only real difference we're going to have here, now that we know that this works, is we need to just drop this back a little bit. So it's really how many tiles we want to kind of cut back. It was this like plus, right? This is like +3. I think they'll get us sort of into the right place. All right, so score, undefined. Why are you looking for score? Oh, because I didn't pass it in. Aha, we need a value. Okay, so this is an unsigned char, unsigned char score, except this is really just going to be display value, because this is debugging information, so we don't know actually what it is. And that we're going to do value, and here we're going to do value. I'm using the same trick I used the other night. Not enough arguments, which is fine because we didn't actually pass anything in. Let's just do a quick 214. Okay, so we can make that up. And it's right. I did it to the wrong coordinates. No, it's weird. Did Chrono Trigger set precedents for Final Fantasy? Yes. And this is going to be a hot take if I get into Chrono Trigger's history, but Chrono Trigger was like a massive breakthrough conceptually at the time, like sort of over Final Fantasy 2, which another great game, by the way. And I'm using the US numbering, so that's like, what is 2? 5? Yeah, because like 6 is 3. So, or maybe it was 4, right? Yeah, there was like one that was unreleased. Anyway, I mix up the numbering scheme. But anyway, Chrono Trigger comes between US release 2 and 3. And it was just the active time battle system, what they were doing with some of the Mode 7 hardware, and just wild. I mean, like they were, well, they called them like the trio, right? I mean, the graphics were, what was it? The Tokyo Trio, the Tokyo RPG Trio, I think is what they were called. But you have that dude that goes on to do. I'm gonna script the history. Look it up in the Wikipedia. Game is absolutely fantastic. Okay, 2 is 4, 3 is 6. I always like forget that. So basically between 4 and 6, part of the reason I screw them up is because I actually have the cartridges downstairs. And they say 2 and 3 on them. So I just kind of grew up that way. But anyway, which actually, it's amazing how well they've retained value. I was kind of shocked to see, like, oh, and Nom Nom dropping some nice server software in the Discord. That's pretty cool. Nice. We will look into that. Okay, so thank you, Fafi. I appreciate it. Let's just take a quick look. I think here I was screwing around with flips. We don't want to flip our digits. Oh, that was the color palette, actually, was how I triggered that. Yeah. I think I dropped another palette entry. So we could just take a look. Yeah, that'll gray it. That's kind of neat. Except I don't want a shadow effect. We want to move that thing. Okay, so this is an order of operations problem. Because I really want to do that. Yep, that is exactly it. Okay, and I'm off by 1 because hangover. I'm going to blame the scotch. Okay, so we do that, and man, that's a great excuse. I can blame the scotch the whole stream. And so now we have our double display, which is cool. I remember playing Dragon Quest 1, Final Fantasy 1 on the NES, grinding levels for hours. Yeah. You know, I'm a little confused because they told me, somebody on the internet said that all batteries for all cartridges would be dead at this point because like the battery chemistry would have degraded. I plugged in my Super Nintendo when we moved here to this place and the saves were there. So I guess that battery just hung on for dear life. I don't know what happened, but all that grinding that was there as a kid, like I felt validated. Like, and I did that without a guide. I did that without any, like, well, anyway, I won't get into that. So it was Dragon Warrior originally. Yeah. So, all right, we've got our dual display. We are dual wielding. So we can, my Game Boy Advance battery was, naughty word, though, doesn't even boot up without an adapter. Oh, wow. You know, I don't know if you've checked out, there's some retro dudes. I've been listening to their podcast recently. They do, I want to say the Retro Roundtable, I think is the name of the podcast. We talked about this briefly in Retro RGB Roundtable podcasts. It's literally a retro table is what we got. RGB weekly. Are they up to weekly now? I mean, they were like monthly. I'm listening through a bunch of the old episodes, but this might be them. They would know exactly how to fix your Game Boy Advance. These dudes can like restore anything. So it's, yeah, I'm nowhere near this. I'm still in like 2019. I think I got all the way up to 2019 with how far they are right now. But yeah, I'm probably somewhere around here. I was just listening to Voltar going on like a crazy rant about, what was he just ranting about? Input lag, and like this tear on input lag and the definition of input lag versus pixel refresh rate. I forget the exact term, but it was basically like the speed at which, like on an LED, like how fast the pixel from the points told to draw to like it draws, the latency that's there, as opposed to the, kind of straight, because HDMI, anyway, that was the whole episode, was kind of like talking about that. But these dudes like really know their retro systems pretty damn well. And this guy, Steve, who's on there, he's like kind of electronics. Steve and, and the French-Canadian dude, drawing a blank. He wasn't in the last episode because I think he was sick that week. But you can learn a lot about electronics, like craft, if you sort of listen to them. And I'm kind of interested, like hobbyist electronics with this kind of stuff. So it's probably on this webpage actually. It's admin. Okay, let's click the admin button. Yeah, I'm not seeing an about here. Okay, well, I can't answer that. So anyway, there's two of the dudes, and they're very inspiring on electronics. The other guys are occasionally funny, occasionally whatever. Form your own opinions, but they're very knowledgeable. That much is clear. So anyway, and thank you, Xcoimp Ducks. Xcoimp. That rings a bell. Xcomp Ducks. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Yeah, what is that from? That totally is ringing a bell. That's going to get me. Okay, so let's see. Let's get back to, we're actually building NES cart right now. So, well, we're not at the cart stage yet. But for right now, we are worrying about getting our debug output on the screen. So we've got our debug indicator. So let's just say what we want to show here is what collided. I think that'll be kind of like the good debug output. So let's just collect that and slide something like XCOM game. Yep, could be. They're remaining silent right now, so I can't tell you. So let's just say we'll just stick something in there. So I guess we have to map it onto a single number the way I did this. So what we can do is we can just say the collisions value. Okay, we'll start it off at 0, and if we get a left collision, then we'll set the first digit. So collisions value plus 100. And if we get a right value, we'll say collisions, I really want plus equals, don't I? Plus equals 10, and we'll use the ones digit for down. So collisions value plus equals 1. All right, so we can see what collides this way. So, except I forgot to output the variable. Zafk Fafi. Actually, it was Dragon Quest originally, ported to North America as Dragon Warrior, and then North America went to use the original title later on as sequels progressed. But yeah, the North American Dragon Warrior was my first console RPG. Interesting. Well, there we go. Somebody knew. Anyway, welcome, Zafk. Is it Zafk or Zefk? Zafk. Well, Akshay is a pretty cool dude. So we're going to show the collisions value. And this, okay, so we have 0. We're at having a single collision, which is down, which is kind of cool. Okay, so that's except, yeah, okay, so we're hitting that collision, and, oh, see, that's the mistake right there. It only shows the collision, it only does the collision detect when I move. So when I'm releasing the key, it doesn't know that it's collided with anything. So when I try to move, so if I'm moving like left, okay, so that works, that's cool. And if I hit on the right, that's cool. So that's probably the bug I've got. So, all right, if I come over here, this hits here, this hits here. And, oh, hey, we got the Coding Carter. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the party. So, yeah, that goes there. And, okay, so just looking up here. And when I collide, it's cool. All right, so the problem is really a release. It's like when I'm hitting the thing, when I release, I forget that the collision's there. So the example that I had before, which looks, so actually this might not be a bug at all, because right now it's not colliding anything, but the issue, oh no, see, so this is bad. I am off by 1 because I move this thing down until it hits the platform, and then I release, so there's no collision. But we're not actually resting on the platform. I think we're a pixel into the platform. And the reason I think that is because when I press right, it's detecting a collision. When I press left, it's detecting a collision. Now, I bet if I was like just a little bit up, yeah, there's no collision. So I think that's bad. Okay, so we need to take care of that. All right. What language is this in? This is C, and you're going to see a little bit of 6502 assembly. We're building an original, this is a NES emulator here. I'm using Messin. So we're going to build a NES cartridge for hardware. So we got a couple EEPROMs. This is that's actual ROM that's been mass ROM. This is the EEPROM that I'm going to be wiping later. So I've got a program ROM and I've got a character ROM. So we're kind of good to go on that. No, there's going to be no rust in this particular stream. Okay, so yeah, I'm just programming. This is just Vim over here, so there's no IDE. Well, maybe consider Vim an IDE, but and you know, one thing that's been kind of annoying me. Let's flip all these up arrows to. Okay, so I'm just pulling up. This is the PPU, which is kind of like a NES GPU. Here's my sprite memory, by the way. So that's how far I've gone into it. It's interesting. There's my zeros for my display. Here's Bitboi. Here's the 2 enemies. And that's the score counter. That's the order that I drew them in. Because if I change that, which is kind of neat, then let's just take display indicators. Instead of drawing it right away, we could actually draw it down here after the other score, and it will end up in a different spot in the OEM hardware, the sprite hardware. So let's get rid of that. Let's run it again. And if we do that and go back to that PPU viewer, and we look in the sprite, yep, now we see that display is showing up here, which actually it shows you down here which pixels that is on the display. So this is the display indicator that I just did, and this is the score indicator. So very nice debugging tool. Messen is fantastic for NES debugging. Hey, Herr Otzenplatz, guten Abend, mein Herr Otzenplatz. Okay, good to see you. So let's see, we've got, what are we doing? We were taking a look at what we have in our name table, and let's pick a different tile for the ground. You get nice mono debug messages too. So I didn't actually load a tile. I mean, we could take this tile for now, which is 01. Rather than using the arrow, which was kind of a temporary play. I wasn't sure if I had edited that. So do level, does the level. We need the init of this. So this is where we're loading the original. And then when we actually hit game mode, we actually pop the thing out and we do the load. Okay, so when we need to, load level gets invoked, and load level shuts the PPU off and loads the whole map and puts all of these individual tiles. So if I change the tile that it puts when there's actually something there, then that should change our world. Yeah, now we get this gray stuff. Oh, which turns into nice, you can see some nice filtering by the time it shows up on the stream. But this is kind of a bad case for streaming. Otzenplatz having a ha. German, eh? I took my first online test in my German class, and when everyone clicked on the test, and then there was a collective gasp through the people who had their mics on. Google Translate automatically changed all of the German to English. Easy, 100%. That is amazing, Coding Carter. That is, I will bet the Google people responsible for Translate will find that immensely funny. That is just fantastic. I'll bet they never thought of that case. They were just like, oh, we're going to help out. Oh, this is probably in a language that you don't know based on your profile. Okay, actually, whoops, that was a test. So, some spec problem there. I guess for simple sentences, Google Translate is fine, but otherwise, especially bad with German. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. It's definitely getting better all the time, but at some point, like, there's sort of an AI problem hiding in language translation around, like, can you ever really translate something if you don't know what they're talking about? I mean, because you have to sort of re-render the concept, and it sort of depends on the language pairs. I mean, at least German and English are sort of related, you know, I mean, as opposed to, like, you know, switching between like English and say like an Asiatic language, which is not very close at all. That would have actually, Jessie would love that topic. I'll bet she would have plenty to say on that. There was a matching part where we had to match 8 English words to 8 German words. It was literally like matching how are you to how are you. That's amazing, Coding Carter. And the poor teachers, they're probably just like, shut off Google Translate, or you're cheating, even though we gave you this test and you're cheating with what we gave you. So I feel I've seen that stuff go wrong for teachers so many times. Okay, so this is kind of good enough for the moment. We could actually put in the real tile that's supposed to be here, which, or we just put in a solid block. That might be even better. It's always been kind of annoying me that we keep using the up arrows as our platforms, and now that we're starting to look at like possible off by 1 errors, I want to see nice crisp edges on, so that we can compare for sprite use. So I've got that in tiles. This is where Bitboi is laid out. We could just quickly make a flat tile. I don't think that would be, I don't think that would be too bad. So flat tile. Flat color tile. All right, so this could be something like all ones. How's that sound? All right, so let's just throw everything that's a 0 and make it a 1. All right, so this is all ones, and let us see where that's going to get assembled, because I forget exactly how I loaded this thing. So if we come here and we go and we look in our PPU viewer, and there's our flat tile that I just created. Now it's white, and let's make it red. So everything you're standing on is lava. Okay, so this is 01. This is probably 10. I'll just take a guess that is 10, and that would be 1, and this would be 0. All right, so make it Chrome recommended. Nightshade, dude, you're probably absolutely right. It actually wouldn't let us turn it off because it was on a new like customized Chrome window. Like you can't change the URL and some other things. That is what our online learning thing forces for logging into their system. Wow, coding Carter. That sounds like just an epic, like I need to talk to some friends in Silicon Valley about that. Like that is so good. That is just so good. It's like software that just, I'll bet nobody thought that was going to happen. So if we pop in here, I didn't actually change the tile yet. Let's take a quick look at the PPU and what we got here. Yep, okay, showing up as blue. So it's the one after the note. This is 82, this is 83. I'm just looking at the tile index here. So this is hex 83. So let's set this to tile number 83. And get that up. Hey, look at that. We're in blue land, which is actually starting to get on. Okay, and we can easily see that we're off by 1 there. So that is exactly our bug. See, you see the things you realize when you actually start setting it up right? Okay, this is great because this is supposed to be Legos when we're actually got the theme right. So this is totally starting to get on theme. So, all right. Yeah, that kind of stinks though, because our teacher was literally excited about how she got all of the tests onto there for the rest of the semester. Oh, you mean onto the learning system? Yeah, I mean, it was probably, I feel pretty bad for the teachers because, you know, they're usually just like this type of technology is just foisted on them, and then no time is allocated, and then it's like, okay, it's your responsibility to get all of our lesson content for the next year like loaded on there. And you know, it's like, sorry, there goes your weekend, or all of them, all your weekends, all your extra time. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know the particular situation that you were going after, but I've worked on learning management systems before. I used to work at a textbook company a long time ago, and it's tough. I can tell you that much. Okay, our world has some solidity to it, and it actually is colliding our dude. Now, the first thing I want to look at, now that we have some sense of like why this isn't working, because clearly the character, I'm using the bottom plane as the collision detection, and I can see that it's overshooting it. And you can see here that whenever I try to move, it triggers, and that makes sense because these pixels on the bottom, they're actually in the soup here, right? They've gone into the brick. Actually, it was fine. It was like that last year. I think it's honestly pathetic now because we have had the whole summer to learn and test everything. I don't know about that. That might be being a little harsh to the teachers. I mean, I think a lot of my teacher friends were all just like trying to figure out if they were going to have a school year, and if they were going to have a school year, what it was going to look like. And it just sounded like a nightmare reading some of the updates from them. And the union fights and everything else that was going on. Anyway, don't want to get into politics, especially since they got paid to go to school for 2 weeks before we started school. Yeah, and there's usually a lot of work expected of them too. Dowdeman, what's going on? Welcome back. Just got here. Sorry if I'm interrupting. What is this written in? C is absolutely right. There's some C going on over here. Here's the compile steps. So this is Bitboi Classic. We just managed to make the world blue. So the world is now blue. And we have a little collision detection bug that I was just starting to look into. So we got a, this detector here is telling us that there's a right collision problem. This tells us there's a left collision problem, and this tells us there's a down collision problem. I guess if I was being a good UI person, I would put the down one in the middle. Yeah, there we go. Here's some useless code that I'm gonna write tonight. Display indicators, because that's nice and easy, and it goes well with a hangover. So I feel like that's what we're gonna do, because that's just what we're gonna do. So in that case, all I need to do is reverse the right and the down values. So that'll do it right there. And we can kill the emulator, do a quick make, hop back in here, and now, yep, down is center, left, right, sweet. So we come here, we have a right collision. We come here, we have a left collision. Nice. Does this get transpiled to 6502? So before there was transpiling, Nightshade Dude, there was compiling. And that's exactly what the compiler is doing right now. The compiler is actually, so it's taken my main.c, which I've been working on here. It's compiling it to main.s. This is actually, when I typed mess, right? That's probably what I'm thinking of. This is actually the assembly output from the C compiler. And here's all my static stuff. Here's the actual assembly in 6502. It's showing you the line of C, and then it's showing you how that assembled it. So this assembly corresponds to this line. That there's a way you can basically take your compiler and put it into this mode, so it sort of builds this intermediate representation. This is a label. This is kind of like standard assembler syntax if you haven't seen it before. And this is the opcode, and then this is whatever parameters are being passed in whatever addressing form applies. So here's an add with carry, here's a jump, here's a load the A register, clear carry, load the Y register. This is setting up some looping, so it's loading 0 into Y. It's usually going to use one of the index registers when you're doing some sort of for loop. Clears carry, and basically it's just going to kind of like keep sort of jumping around, but that's the quick version of what's going on here. So this is awesome. Where can I learn more about this? Probably the best resource. I mean, so like I don't have a project page for this yet. I need to get that up on the website. But in the meantime, one of the best resources you can find is the NestDev wiki, which is pretty solid. There's a lot of great technical information. It's a little bit too deep. So I recommend starting with something like Nerdy Nights. And actually, I think I link all that stuff off my blog. I want to say that I did that back a long time ago. So when I was on, this was, by the way, the Netflix, this was the put Netflix on the original Nintendo. That's what this project was. So, and I was sort of I explained in the blog a bit about how how everything works. So like here's, for example, how you do basic text rendering. And then I borrowed this from NestDev, and here was the house of cards we got working for our Netflix interface. And down here somewhere, I have a list of, okay, I just thanked them. I didn't actually have links at that time. Damn it. All right, mental note? No, written note. Written note. Add links to Netflix. And so down here, I mentioned all the tools that I used. So Nerdy Nights was kind of a great place to start for doing C development for the NES. And in particular, it's using Shiru's code. So this is I'm basing this on the Shiru lib, which is here in nestlib, nestlib.s. This is the Shiru lib. Shiru put this all into the public domain. Yep, consider it public domain. And here's a bunch of stuff so that you can actually write in C. It's a little bit easier than writing in assembly directly, but you know, choose your poison. Either way, CA65, basically what I was just going with that was you have something like main.s, so this is your assembler output, and then you need to assemble it. So you do something like CA65 of main.s, and then, you know, it actually assembles it into machine language, so not assembly language. And if we look at that file, we're going to see that this is no longer assembly. This is now actual X6502 assembly. So anyway, probably not a great tutorial to start here. I really need to get the links off here, but I do mention all the stuff if you want to Google it off here. I wouldn't use FSO anymore. Now that they've got Messen working in Linux, which it didn't at the time that I was doing that. Or I think I was working on a Mac at the time because they gave us a Mac at Netflix. This was now Messen has really superior debugging capabilities for the NES if you're interested in playing around with NES hardware. Zorkenheimer is great at this. I think he's writing in Lua tonight. Interesting. Yeah, Zorkenheimer definitely knows his way around the NES. No question. I'll drop this link here anyway in the meantime. So, now, let's see. So yeah, anyway, that's the answer to your question, Nightshade Dude. Ends up in object code through CC65 turns into assembly, CA65 turns it into machine language, object code. Wow, you can even run websites. This is awesome. Where can I learn more? Yep. Lots of websites work without JavaScript. Totally agree, arrows and plots. Assuming Twitch isn't one of those, yeah, probably not. Yeah, so that actually, yeah, you can log in like arrows and plots is saying. You can do the chat. It's basically IRC. And you can, yeah, there's other things you can use to watch HLS streams or Dash streams or however they're streaming this thing live. Yes, please. I want to see Netflix on 8-bit graph. Oh, you haven't seen that, Fafi? Yeah, we actually got that to work on an original NES. It was super fun hack. Got like 500,000 views on YouTube about that. I mean, it's a pretty popular hack. Oh, and I even explained the fast call convention that I was talking about before. I do it in even better explanation. So here, look at this. Here's how you implement the MMC3 memory mapper. So that was, by the way, some of the hardest stuff to figure out. How we did smooth video. Yeah, all that. Brandon CC Dev, hey Guy, your stream last night was awesome. You set the bar pretty high for tonight. Yeah, last night was epic. that was really fun. A lot of people came by. It was blast. Of course, by the time a lot of people came by, we were already in the drinking part of the stream, and we had stopped coding. So it's not normally like that. Just like there's normally code going on the screen, like you're starting to see over here. But glad you came by. It was fun. Thank you. I think I messed with Netflix. Could be thinking of a similar project. Probably not. I mean, come on. There's only one. I posted on YouTube. Where did I see? This is what you do when you. I think I broke the YouTube embed on this page. I totally have to fix this. Yeah, I totally did break it. All right, well, let's just look. I called it Darness back then because Darwin was the old UI. It was an evolution. Darwin. Darwin on the NES. Netflix hack day. That should give it to. Yep, there it is. Hi, I'm Guy. I'm Alex. And this is Netflix. I'm that guy. The original Nintendo. This is an unmodified system. This has a cartridge in it, and Alex is just going to show it to you. Oh, wow. It has the scroll.
There you go. That's what it looks like.
Do we have turtles yet?
We don't have turtles,
No turtles.
but we do have kind of a side-scrolling
jump.
jump.
Yeah, it's just like Mario.
Just like Mario.
This is the Monday morning cut.
Oh, can we
I was half asleep in this video.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Let's do that.
House of Cards 3 hadn't come out yet.
I can get
There's the emulator. You can see the emulator is super crisp. We were looking on the screen. We're like, it's not coming through on the video. There it is. Video playback.
That's it in all of its 2-bit glory.
2-bit. I got ripped up in the press for saying that.
6K cart, huh? Yeah.
It's 2-bit. And the reason it's 2-bit, I'm going to show all of you why it's 2-bit. Because, boy, did I get ripped on that one. But this, I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter. Okay, I'm just going to show you. It actually is 2-bit. This is why it's 2-bit. You see these 4 choices? That's made up of 2 bits. 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. 2 bits. I wasn't kidding. All the graphics we did in there was 2 bits. You can get more colors out of an NES by using different palette slots. But actually, if you stay in one palette, which is what we did to get the video playback working, it's 2 bits. You heard it here. Okay. Anyway, sorry. Got carried away. So it's like it was yesterday. Don't mention bar. Guys attempting. I'm definitely trying to avoid alcohol tonight. It was wow, that was fun last night. There was another project that left you turn GIFs into NES ROM. Oh yeah, come on, we could crank that out. Dowdeman, we could bang that out real quick. Actually, that's one of my build steps right now. Is is exactly that. That's like I've got this here in the graphics tools is the level exporter and the RLE encoder, and that's literally what they do. These are the PNGs. So if I just like show this HTTP server and I just pop that open here, this is all of the graphics in the scene. Now this you can't see because it's black on black, and that's really impossible to see. I don't even think if I blow that up. There's Bitboi Classic. You can kind of see it if I grab it. So that is, there you go. That's exactly what I did. Oh, it doesn't show the mouse drag, damn it. How do we reverse the colors on this? Yeah, you can't really see it. I'd have to use an image viewer of a different sort. But anyway, you would see if I had it rendered right, then you would see this as that. Anyway, we could totally put that into like a bot and just make it like render this page based on a PNG or something. That could be like a redemption. I need some like channel point redemption things. I feel like that's a good one. You know what, Dowdeman? Thank you. Add a bot command to turn let's do like a profile icon into a NES screen. Nice. This would be something to do with channel points for channel points redemption. Gotta figure out what to do with channel points. All right. So, okay. Oh, is this actually the, man, is this actually the website then? Yeah, I mean, but we'll put it on a real NES. This isn't just a... Wait, Netflix is a movie? No. That is a total lie on this website because Netflix was my name. There isn't even a this is like some copyright crap right here. They're totally just after my search stuff. That is crazy. It wasn't in 2011 either. All right, whatever. People on the internet. Okay, whatever. So, wow. Yeah.
Makes sense. It was mind-blowing to me because I'm not well-versed in C. Yeah, I mean, hey, Doudament, there's a C course available for free now. I just posted it. You can get into the C right here. Go here and learn and C as an additional language. I assume I don't start you from bare bones zero. I assume that you have some sort of programming language and you want to learn C. This Python from scratch course that I started, this is actually going to assume like you're just starting from scratch. Like there's no previous assumptions. So, but the two I figure can play off each other. You can do Python from scratch. You can move into C as an additional language, and they should be like complete as a set. Sue them. I'm not going to sue them. Maybe I will have to sue them. Maybe that's the real revenue. In-depth codes. Thank you for the follow. Much appreciated. 20-second duration change feed into ASCII art version of stream. Nice. Yeah, totally can do that. Plan on watching it. Let's see. You have some delicious Vim config files. Not too delicious. What the crit. I don't know if you're in the Discord. It renders terribly if I have the bot display it here in the stream. But if you're in the Discord, I'll just drop it real fast in the channel. It's dot files. I can drop it here, but it's really horrible to look at with no new lines. So yeah, that's it. I try to keep my dot files super light, mainly just because I'm always SSHing onto different servers like we did last night. You SSH onto a server, you don't have anything set up, you can just quickly get that set up. I guess nowadays, sometimes like in my career, like for streaming kind of stuff, I don't think that situation exists anymore. Like pretty much any server I'm spinning up could reasonably access GitHub and pull down like some dot files if I wanted to go really crazy with dot files. So I might start exploring that space more. I'm just a little worried that like once you start getting used to a complicated setup and then you're configuring a machine that doesn't have any of that, like that might be hard. And that's kind of where I had optimized earlier. That hasn't come up a lot for me. It seems like most systems are internet connected these days, and yeah, I don't know. I could always keep this dot file as sort of like my just in case feed. But hey, Taz, welcome. Give a wave there. All right. So anyway, where were we? Let's do a little more code before we wrap tonight. I don't want to go. So we did get Netflix to run on the original NES. That wasn't even the cool video though. The cool video was the rap video that we did. Actually, that's going to get me into copyright trouble if I play it. Okay, so we're not going to play it. There's rap video. We did the rap here on stage. It was amazing. This is the old Netflix office, by the way. This isn't really, actually a lot of these people don't even work there anymore. But anyway, we presented, that's the TV. You can't really see it here, but that's the TV with the original Nintendo on it that we displayed on screen. Difficult to SSH into a non-internet connected system. Surprisingly not what the crit. I mean, so like I used to do a lot of telecom stuff, and a lot of those systems are on their own intranet, or they'll have their configuration system in a parallel, like there's no outside access to any of that stuff. So you're sort of like working through various things. So like you could try to like pump it through from your local side forward, but they usually disable forwards, and there's all sorts of like security parameters around a lot of telecom systems. So it does happen. But anyway, nom nom, heading out. Have a good night. Thanks for dropping by, nom nom. Best of luck with your sourdough and whatever magical starter you've got. And please send a loaf here to Coding with Some Guy. I'm here. If you want to find my address, I live right next to where Mark Twain used to live. So you can go find that. And the mailman will be like, oh, yeah, Guy. Yeah, he's up there. So anyway, one of the best things about the town that I live in is this is where it was. Island hopping to get a Vim RC might be frowned upon. Yeah, that's Nightshade, dude. That's kind of like the environments that I was working in a lot where, yeah, you probably don't want to do that. So, but I mean, for my own comfortable setup, I guess maybe it's probably okay to start getting used to a more personalized setup as opposed to like just assuming that I've always got to configure whatever host I'm on. I'll drop it off there and let you know it's time to search. Please don't drop it off on the Mark Twain estate. That's like 250 acres. It's just, I'll never find it. Even if I do find it, I'll never find it in time. There's bears and stuff there. They will get it. I don't know if I should load this data man after that last one. I'm gonna hit more of them Vim configs. Dave Chappelle is legend. He's just awesome. That's a dude I want to meet some point in my life. All right. That was when he looked a lot younger then. All right. So back from getting stuff on the NES, from getting images. So we're back in our C land. Things are nice and easy to program for here in C. See, it's like really high level language. It's really funny how Jessie's like doing this and she's used to coming from Python. She's like, wow, C is really low level. It's like exactly the hardware. Then you come onto this stream, C is the high level language when we're doing NES programming. Assembly and machine language are the low level. So it's like totally like, it's all about your perspective. But, you know, I think it's, considering that C maps pretty cleanly to like assembly, like you were just seeing in this compiler, like it's you can definitely see it's nice to work at higher levels of abstraction. All right, so I guess you could get MicroPython to run on the 6502. Has someone done it? Is that my next series? No, that'd be yeah. C was created as high level, exactly as Dowdeman says. Now I have Prime and Guy's home addresses. I'm slowly collecting a Netflix address book. 500 years from now, it will be complete. Very nice, Brandon. Yeah, I live right next to Stormfield, so this is what I'm referring to when I say Mark Twain's estate. This is not here anymore, but I'm in Reading, Connecticut, and Stormfield. Oh, they don't have like an overview of like Stormfield, but yeah, it's right over there. So maybe one day on like a particularly nice day, we should take the streaming setup and like just go stand over in Stormfield and live code. That might be kind of cool. That we should, yeah. Those of you on the Discord, we should talk about that. We should see what's going on with that. Okay. I prefer punch cards. Nice, Fafi. Punch cards, I am back, and we're talking about punch cards. Yeah, Harold and plots. You missed. I guess there was a transition there since you were gone. Dowdeman, that image was my exact intent when asking him about the Vim configs. That's awesome. Yeah, no real secret sauce in my Vim configs. The main thing is Eric Lawless, who just recently followed on the stream, was an inspiration to me. He's like a uber Vim master, and he really led to me using Distinguished. Distinguished is I like this color scheme. It's a 256 color scheme, so I always have to kind of like screw with my screen settings a little bit to get it to like work in a GNOME terminal and whatever. But Distinguished is my 256 color scheme. And I always leave commented out here, Elflord. Elflord is installed by default in every Vim installation. And it just makes that blue that's like unreadable, readable, like on a lot of screens. I don't know why they chose that super unreadable X blue. Like there's just this horrible blue that's like, just like eye strain inducing blue. And anyway, this is the whole config here. Sometimes when I want to be careful and I'm in pedantic mode, I set the text width to like remind me, like, yeah, you're building some stuff that's going crazy. There's nothing here. I mean, it's just stock Vim. I assume I'm installing nothing. The only thing that I ever generally install is Distinguished. In the event that I'm on another system, I just don't use it. I just switch it over to Elflord. I'm sorry, I probably totally let you down in terms of like awesome Vim config, but I'm pretty plain Jane on that. Unlike Jiggity Jane, who's absolutely not a plain Jane. Okay, so long game to get free Netflix. Nightshade, dude, I don't even get free Netflix. Like when I worked at Netflix, I didn't get free Netflix. I definitely watch it. Cool, Arrows and Plots. Yeah, we might go on the road for some of these future dev streams. Not sure how that would play out since even the employees don't get that. Yeah, exactly. Brandon CC's in the know on that. We never got free Netflix. Actually, I shouldn't say never. At one point, we did get free Netflix. It was a long time ago, and then they wanted us to test the sign up. If you all don't get free Netflix, you're gonna fix the bugs in the sign up flow. So we all stopped getting free Netflix. That's kind of what happened. Okay, so no Groovebox meme scheme. No, I'm so boring, Dowdeman. I'm sorry. Yesterday was also pretty cool. I set up a little jail on server with an RTMP server. Announced a stream on IRC, and lots of people actually watched. I was surprised. That's fun. Nice, Arrows and Plots. Were you actually streaming? I didn't know that you actually streamed. I don't feel in the know. I would watch that stream. You've got some pretty cool projects you do. Yeah. Oh, nice navigation here. Oh, yeah, you totally do stream. Crap, I'm sorry. I'm following you right now. And everybody, this is Arrows and Plots' stream. This dude does some pretty cool stuff that he's talked about in the channel, like he did a ARM64 version of, was it ARM64 or was it PowerPC version of FreeBSD? Yeah, it was an ARM64 I think you were doing. But anyway, he's doing all sorts of cool projects, knows his way around tech, so might want to follow him like I just did. Anyway, Mark Twain aside, I thought I was going to write when I originally came here in Reading, Connecticut. And Reading is very pretty. We've had all sorts of power outages. There's lots of trees, and trees like to fall on power poles, and there's power poles all over the place. So, power issues. Okay. Fortunately, we managed to stream through most of it. So, yeah, ARM64. That's pretty cool. So, he basically got FreeBSD to run on this Raspberry Pi 4. Nice job, Arrows and Plots. That's pretty solid. Probably the 3 would have been okay too. I think you said it was 4-core, so I'm gonna guess that was probably a Pi 4. Anyway, yeah. All right, no more party like last night. We're not partying. We're coding. Let's get coding. All right, so one more feature, and then we can just chatting. Okay. So that's let me see where we left this. So we're running this, and okay, we got this right. We were about to go figure out why this is wonk. All right, it's probably the fact that I'm adding 2. So let's just eliminate that first. What I'm doing to make the player move faster is I add 2 in whatever direction applies based on the pad input. So in the case of pad down, I'm adding 2. Let's just change that to 1 while we're debugging to try to prevent off by oneness. And okay, so we're still a pixel over. So it seems like our collision detect is not hitting early enough. We should have collided on the block before. It's detecting that the collision happened at that point. So I think that to do that, let's split this and come on up here to collide bottom. Now there's a Y collision and an X collision. So we're not worried about the X collision at the moment. We're worried about the Y collision. And the Y collision is, so this is where it's determining which tile matters. And there's probably something funk there. And we probably don't have this case. This is when you're at the bottom of the screen. So this is kind of like the normal case up here. And I have no idea why I'm using 27. That's a magic number that showed up somewhere. But I'm basically dividing by 8 because the sprite is in pixel coordinates. but I want to get to tile coordinates. So it seems like I'm really in the top of the next tile, which could be the problem right there. So let's take a quick look. If we back it off, so 24 is a multiple of 8 because I've got 3 8-bit. It's 8 bits, 8 bits, 8 bits because I've got 3 sprites stacked on each other. They're all 8 by 8. So if I do this like 23, actually, let's leave the original here. And let's not screw with that at all. Let's know that there's some sanity up there. Let's call this 23 and see what's going on. Next stream, updating the pie by cross-compiling FreeBSD. Wow, nice, dude. Okay, so here we're clearly going over. And we're actually off by, this y used to be 0, it's now 1 when we're colliding. So the situation actually got worse. So if we come down and we remove it 2, then this collision now is beating by 2. So this looks like it might be our issue. So we just need to be like 25. Call it there. All right, so if we come here, yeah, okay, now it's 0, except clearly we're colliding. So it looks like we have a global off by 1 on that. So if we want it to hit like negatively, we could do something like this. Yeah, no, actually that does nothing when it's actually off the screen because the collision's on the other side. Okay, so that's actually our issue. It looks like we're going one more addition past where we should be going. So this is 0, and I really want that number to be 24 because then it's a multiple of the 8, and that looks right. Yeah, so we're still staying 0 here, which is cool. But if I actually hit this a little bit less, then this actually stops at 1. So yeah, okay, so it's actually going a little bit further. So we know that the number we want is 24. So what we need to do is not allow that move. And this is how many tiles correspond to a line, because I've done some bit packing in a previous stream, and that means that when we're colliding these two, oh no, we are hitting the right thing. So this might actually just be an artifact of the fact that we're at the top of the screen and it didn't check it on the time before. So the way we can really test that is all we need to do is edit. Let's move it down a little bit. And actually, you know what we can do? We can see this on one of the other rows. So what we can do is let's just get out of here. And so there's no collision in the up direction. And if I come down, this hits, no, looks like it's still stuck. Yeah. Okay, so no, it doesn't actually matter. It's the top of the screen. But it's hitting on 64. Yeah, it seems like we're allowing it to go one more than it should. So is that like a greater than or equal to kind of thing? That's a good question. Yeah. Okay, so this is the tile. We are looking the right tile up, and it's deciding that the bit that corresponds to the current tile, it's based on like the X, is the right bit. So we are getting the right one to look at, and then what we need to do is say the bit that matters is we're going to AND those two together. So we're going to peel off the bit that corresponds to where the block is. So this is kind of how I like compacted all the blocks into, I basically take like 8 blocks and I turn it into a bit field. So it's like bit 0 is block 1, bit 1 is block 2, but, you know, and then so on and so forth. So we're hitting that, which is why I was sort of messing with it here. And you know what I'm thinking? Yeah, taking that, we're dividing it by 8, and it's not overflowing until, because you have this like partial value. So until you've actually rolled into the next tile, that will be a fraction that rounds down. So what we have to kind of do is round it up. Well, yeah, so why didn't that work then when I overflowed it by adding 1, or when I did like 25? Because divide that by 8, I should have gotten the next tile a little bit early. Right, yeah, something's not right with that math. So actually this is like adding 8. Ooh, that's the wrong, oh, it's like subtracting 8. No, it's not at all. Yeah, but you can also see that same off by 1, off by 2, because I'm adding 2 each. So, hey, what's up, Cam? How you doing? Good to see you. Oh, Man following. Thank you. Much appreciated. It's good to see you last night. We've calmed down and we've gone back to actually programming tonight. So, who knew? Who knew we actually were going to code on one of these streams? Although right now I'm sort of messing around with some bit math. I'm not too worried about debugging this on stream. I mean, I can go suffer with this later. I think, yeah, I'm still hungover from yesterday, so I have a feeling we're going to want to end early tonight anyway. So yeah, I've got some sort of math error here. Y'all were cracking me up when you switched to non-safe for work. What? No. It's funny. Terrible. Yeah, we normally are pretty good about not swearing, but 3 drinks of scotch in, I'm like, screw it. So we had just finished like filming the whole course, and we'd managed not to swear through the entire course, and then we get to our first session outside of the course, and it's like, screw it. So we're gonna have a night where we get a little silly. Making the decision not to post the video from after the scotch starts, I think that kind of cleared it up right there. So Urban Miller's gaming armchair Aeron chair costs almost as much as an RTX 3090. Wow, that's a bummer. Did you ever hit the steep? There is no Balmer Peak. The Balmer Peak does not exist. Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about, Dowdeman. I have argued with so many people about the Balmer Peak. This is full soapbox. There is no Balmer Peak. I have extensively, exhaustively, empirically tested this. It doesn't exist. That's all I have to say. So it's there. It does not exist. You just end up writing code that you have to back out later. It's always bad. So fortunately, once we started drinking last night, we just did not do any more programming. So anyway, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna just I'll deal with this later. Something is wonky here with the collision detect. I'm gonna have to go to some crazy lengths, I think, to debug it. So that's not gonna be super fun stream stuff. At least we sorted out some tile things, and we added our second display. So I got some more debugging stuff. I have to speed this up, so I'm gonna start hitting this a little bit off stream. Mainly because I want to start getting to the EEPROM and testing it in a real Nintendo sooner rather than later. Hardware always kind of scares me. And that may have something to do with the fact that I'm not an electrical engineer. So every time I get into the hardware, I mean, you think programming is always easy. It always takes longer. Hardware, wow. So there is no Balmer Peak. Thank you, Cam. We need to get that clip hooked up to the bot. I need to get that. Okay, if he found the peak, he just rolled down the other side. So that's mad. Nice one, Ravenous. I think the Balmer Peak peak is cocaine intake, not booze. 80s and 90s, Paul. That's good. I didn't test that. I was just testing the BAC XKCD Randall Monroean interpretation. Works for me. Interesting. Yeah, there's some Kappa. So anyway, for those of you just dropping in, I'm going to come back to this NES coding some other time. Join our Discord. The regular, I got the schedule. We're always like last minute stuff ends up happening over there. I'll be next stream slot is on Saturday. I'll be just coding. Not sure if it's going to be Bitboi, if we're going to, there were a few other projects I wanted to kind of play with a little bit. And then, Jesse will be back on Tuesday. And starting next week, we're going to have guests coming on the show. So I just got some confirmations from some very interesting people, including the 2 people involved in this hack with me, because there's actually 3 of us. And I am still waiting for one confirmation, so maybe I shouldn't announce it yet. But I can tell you that probably next week, you are going to meet the full team. So I will get back to you on that. Updates will be in the Discord. Otherwise, we'll figure something out. It's a little bit last minute on scheduling. Sorry about that. But we have basically a lot of sessions. So Wednesday nights are going to turn into Coding with Friends sessions, the Awesome Hackers series. So I'm going to be doing a guest each week on Wednesday nights, probably for the next 2 months.